welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to the secret garden build thing that we're doing. I've done a little bit of work over the past couple of days that I didn't film. Yeah, hit a few blocks with getting the earth for the bottom, so it kind of lost a little bit of steam building, and then this was meant to be a secret garden, and then the landlord took away 4 of the fence panels, so it kind of opened it up quite a lot more. Luckily there was a spare one just in the middle that I was using, had a bit of a cover over, as you saw probably in the last video. So I've moved that along here again. As we were kind of building, there was this massive concrete and brick thing that there's no chance of us moving. So the plan was originally to have the garden all the way up to the end, but because of supplies and costs and trying to move that stuff, we've just kind of blocked off that section, or that's the plan, is to nearly half the garden, but it's still more than what we had before. So we're kind of creating a little brick section, trying to work out the plan. We might have a lead on getting some earth soon, from a friend of a neighbour who is trying to get rid of some ground, so hopefully we can get hold of that and put that in just to try and help keep the cost low, and then we'll have to buy some earth and nutrients for the grass and stuff, and then some more compost and stuff for the pots as well, for the raised beds. So yeah, that's the plan. Can't do a whole lot today, but we'll try and do a bit. Keeps looking like it's going to rain a little bit, but then it's not. It might rain a little later, so just gotta crack on. Right, part 2, here we go. Welcome to day 8 of our secret garden build. We went over to Dobby's, which is a little plant store not too far away from us, and we picked up some compost and some topsoil, and we picked up a few plants that we wanted to start growing in our little garden. We're still waiting for the weeds and stuff to get picked up, so we could put more in the bin, so we thought we'll just get started on our little allotment area. Day 9, we were able to get rid of more of the weeds. The bin collection happened, and then the rest that we couldn't fit in the bin we put over our little new fence area, and we've started a little composting section. And then I just started to try and get rid of more of the big rocks and flatten the earth a little bit more. I then watered it just to try and start hydrating the ground a little bit. Day 10, we popped over to home base to go and pick up some turf. We struggled a little bit getting some turf because the one in Coventry, which was our closest one, didn't have any in stock, so we had to drive over to Rugby. Here you can see Joy working on the garden a little bit, watering everything and then putting some of the wood chips out around the areas. I went to try and go to the Coventry home base to see if they had any more turf, but they didn't. So that was a bit of a wasted trip in the end. And this is it at the end of the day. And day 11. I've drove over to Rugby again to go and pick up some more turf. So we were able to finish that job off, which is really good. It kind of really made such difference having just a bit of greenery and then we're just sitting down trying to work out what to do with the last one, because we had one spare, so we ended up cutting it up and then just put it around the edges to try and square it off a little bit more. We're trying to water the grass about 2 to 3 times a day at the moment, just to try and make it happy. And these are our finishing touches that I decided to put in as well. So we found these pieces of wood in a scrap pile not too far from us, and we borrowed a sander from one of our neighbours, and I sanded down 3 panels to try and take off any rough edges. So glad he had an electric belt sander, otherwise this job would have taken much longer. And then I started measuring the panels up, because they were all different lengths. And I'm going to make a bench seat out of this as well. So I measured it up, started cutting everything. And then we started painting everything in the urban slate, which is the same colour as the fence that we painted in as a paved garden area. Once the paint had dried, I started to assemble it. I ended up changing the assembly a little bit, but I didn't film that, but the principle is still the same as what I'm doing here. I got some kind of extra wood bits to go in between the slats, just to try and help break them up a little bit, and to have a bit more of a surface area. And then I had some really long screws and screwed those in, and it's pretty solid, which is really good. And then as Joy was kind of just giving the garden a bit of water in the morning, I started to put the blocks out. And then we found some big breeze blocks as well, so they fit perfectly just in between the breeze blocks, and it's a really comfy little bench. And this is a little garden plant grower that I wanted to make, so the vine tomatoes and stuff could grow up on it. I just wanted to make something a little bit different. And again, this is just scrap material that we found. So these pieces of wood were in the pit as we were building, and so was this top bit as well. So I just made some pilot holes and then screwed that in. I think I saw similar things to this on Pinterest, which is where I got the idea, but then I just kind of wanted to make something my own, a bit more unique. And then we have some garden twine, so I cut them all up into the same length. And then I started doing some macrame, just to make it a little bit more interesting than just a piece of string just going straight down. So I did this kind of simple square knot pattern, and then pinned them all down to the bottom of it, and then just tied it around and tied up the loose ends. And once that was over, I was able to pop it just behind the tomatoes and the peppers. We put the tomatoes and peppers on this side because the way the sun goes, I didn't want it to block off any of the rest of the veg, so this way there's no shade cascading when the tomatoes get really big, so I was really happy with that. And so this is our secret garden. really hope you've enjoyed this project. It's been a lot of fun, it's been a lot of stress as well, but we're really happy with how it's turned out, and now we've got a nice little space for us for lockdown, and it's a new little space for when our puppy arrives very soon. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next video. Thank you very much.